Imagine an entirely ordinary morning. The air is calm, the world is moving as usual. Then, without warning, your final breath quietly slips away. There is no dramatic soundtrack, no thunder in the sky, just a subtle release. The rhythm that carried you from birth suddenly stops. In that instant, the world you once clung to begins to dissolve. The walls around you fade, the sounds of traffic, voices, and familiar surroundings blur into silence. Your possessions, your titles, your carefully built identity. Everything loosens its grip and vanishes like mist under sunlight. You no longer feel the weight of your body. The physical shell you once cared for so deeply is no longer yours to inhabit. Instead, you find yourself standing, conscious, aware, yet strangely light, within an endless expanse. There are no boundaries, no sky, no ground, just an infinite space that stretches beyond imagination. For the first time, you are stripped of all external definitions. No one knows your status. Here, no one recognizes your wealth, your achievements, or your failures. You are simply you, raw, unfiltered, and undeniably present. This is the true beginning. Ahead of you, emerging from the vastness, stands something immense, a gate unlike anything you have ever seen. It does not appear made of stone or metal. It radiates a quiet authority. Behind it lies what can only be described as the greatest courtroom in existence, the ultimate tribunal of truth. This is not a human court with wooden benches, legal documents, and persuasive lawyers. There are no arguments to win, no evidence to manipulate, no technicalities to exploit. This is the court of absolute clarity. Here, every hidden thought, every secret intention, every whisper of the heart is illuminated. Nothing is forgotten, nothing is distorted. The moments you dismissed as insignificant are displayed with astonishing precision. The quiet jealousy you once justified, the private resentment you never confessed, the silent act of kindness you thought no one noticed. Everything is revealed, not to humiliate you, but because truth cannot coexist with shadows. And suddenly, you realize something unsettling. There are no social masks here. The roles you played in society, professional, parent, friend, leader, fall away. The persona you carefully crafted to gain approval or admiration dissolves. What remains is the core of your being. There is no one to defend you, no one to blame, no narrative to rewrite. You stand before the undeniable record of your own life. At this moment, a profound question echoes within you. Do you dare to look? If your entire life were projected before all existence, every word spoken, every motive behind every action, would you feel pride or would you wish to disappear? This is the awakening many fear. Throughout life, we often avoid deep self-examination. We distract ourselves with noise, ambition, entertainment, and endless busyness. We assume there will always be more time to reflect, to correct, to change. But here at this threshold, there is no postponement. Would you be at peace watching your life unfold from beginning to end? Or would regret tighten around you like a silent storm? The moment of death is not merely an ending. It is an unveiling. And the most confronting part of that unveiling is not the presence of a judge, but the confrontation with yourself. As the realization deepens, another truth becomes unmistakably clear. You have brought nothing material with you. Your bank accounts are gone. Your properties, your investments, your awards, your influence, none of them crossed the threshold. The currency of the physical world has no value here. Power cannot command this realm. Fame cannot open doors. Authority cannot silence truth. You cannot negotiate. You cannot offer donations to offset your mistakes. You cannot hide behind prestige or social standing. The systems that once shielded you are meaningless in this dimension. Earthly assets dissolve because they were never truly yours to begin with. They were temporary tools entrusted to you for a brief moment in time. Now stripped of all possessions, you stand with only what was always inseparable from you. What remains is your soul, and it has weight. Not physical weight, but moral and spiritual gravity. Love makes the soul light. Compassion, forgiveness, generosity, these qualities refine it. They lift it. A heart that has learned to release hatred and embrace empathy becomes buoyant, almost luminous. Hatred, however, is heavy. So is bitterness, so is greed. Resentment, cruelty, and selfish ambition accumulate like invisible stones. Each unaddressed wound, each deliberate harm adds density to your being. And in this realm, weight determines direction. A light soul rises naturally, drawn toward clarity and peace. A heavy soul sinks, not because it is pushed down, but because its own gravity pulls it toward darker spaces. There is no arbitrary punishment here. There is alignment. Your inner condition attracts the environment that matches it. You do not go somewhere by random assignment. You gravitate toward where you belong. Imagine now that your entire existence has been recorded in what can be called the Book of Life. Every action is written, not only the grand gestures, but the smallest moments. The time you helped a stranger without expecting recognition. The quiet encouragement you offered someone on the verge of despair. The forgiveness you extended when revenge would have been easier. None of it was wasted, but neither were the darker moments erased. The lie told for convenience, the betrayal hidden behind a smile, the selfish decision justified by circumstance. Even thoughts, those silent seeds planted in secrecy, are present. This record is not biased. It does not exaggerate or minimize. It reflects exactly what was. You may have forgotten many of these moments, but they were never lost. And here lies a sobering realization: nothing is insignificant. The smallest act of kindness carries light beyond your awareness. The smallest act of cruelty echoes longer than you imagined. The Book of Life is not meant to condemn. It is meant to reveal continuity, the undeniable connection between who you were in secret and who you are now. In this revelation, excuses evaporate. Only truth remains. And as you stand there, weight determined, record unveiled, you begin to understand something profound. Your destiny was never decided in this moment. It was written gradually, choice by choice, breath by breath, long before your final exhale. The question is no longer what happens after death. The question is, what are you writing today? As you stand before the unveiled truth of your own existence, something extraordinary begins to happen. It is not announced, no voice declares it. Yet suddenly, time itself seems to fold inward. Your life begins to replay, but not as you remember it. Scenes emerge with breathtaking clarity. Childhood, youth, triumphs, failures, private conversations, fleeting glances. Every chapter unfolds with astonishing detail. Nothing is fragmented, nothing is blurred. At first, you assume you are simply watching memories from your own perspective, like reliving a film in which you were the central character. But then something shifts. The angle changes. You are no longer seeing through your own eyes. You are seeing through theirs. Through the eyes of the friend you encouraged, through the eyes of the stranger you ignored, through the eyes of the parent you disappointed, through the eyes of the child who admired you, through the eyes of the colleague you quietly envied, through the eyes of the person you wounded with a careless word. Every interaction is replayed, not from your internal justification, but from the emotional reality of those who stood before you. You experience the tremor in someone's voice when your criticism struck deeper than you intended. You feel the silent relief of someone you helped when they had no one else to turn to. You witness the ripple effect of small choices that, at the time, seemed trivial. What you once dismissed as just a moment is revealed to have been a turning point in someone else's story. This is the phenomenon of complete recall, not partial, not selective, not edited, total. And it is impossible to look away. Then comes something even more profound. You do not merely observe these scenes, you feel them. When you spoke harshly, you now feel the sting as it landed on another's heart. When you withheld forgiveness, you experience the weight that settled into someone else's spirit. When you chose selfish gain over fairness, you sense the confusion and betrayal that followed. There is no exaggeration, no added punishment, only pure, unfiltered consequence. But the revelation is not only painful, you also feel the warmth you once gave without fully realizing its impact. The small act of generosity that restored someone's hope. The patient listening that eased someone's loneliness. The quiet loyalty that strengthened another's courage. You feel their gratitude, their relief, their restored dignity. For the first time, you understand the true reach of your existence. You were never isolated. Every thought shaped energy. Every action created momentum. Every word left a trace. You begin to see that life was never about isolated achievements, but about relational impact. The invisible web connecting every human heart becomes unmistakably clear. And here, consequence is not a sentence imposed upon you. It is an experience returned to you. In this overwhelming clarity, something inside you begins to crumble. The ego. Throughout life, the ego defended you. It rationalized your choices. It blamed circumstances. It justified compromises. It whispered, you had no other option, or they deserved it, or everyone does the same. But here, those defenses dissolve. You cannot blame your upbringing. You cannot blame pressure. You cannot blame culture. You cannot blame ignorance. Because in every single scene, you are shown the alternative choice you could have made. In that argument, you could have paused. In that opportunity for greed, you could have declined. In that moment of pride, you could have chosen humility. The light reveals not only what you did, but what you were capable of becoming. There is no humiliation from an external judge. The confrontation comes from within. You stand face to face with the highest version of yourself, the person you might have been if love had consistently guided you. And in that encounter, the ego collapses entirely. No mask survives. No excuse remains. No narrative can be rewritten. Only truth stands, and from that truth flows the next revelation. As the life review concludes, you begin to sense movement, not imposed, but emerging from your own state of being. And here, another misconception dissolves. Heaven is not a palace suspended above clouds. Hell is not a literal pit of eternal flames. There are no golden streets in the physical sense. No fiery caverns with demons wielding weapons. These are symbolic images the human mind once used to describe spiritual realities beyond comprehension. What you encounter now is far more subtle and far more precise. Heaven and hell are not geographic destinations. They are conditions of existence, states of being. You begin to perceive that this realm operates not on matter, but on resonance. Everything here responds to frequency. A soul refined by compassion, forgiveness, and truth emits a high vibration. It feels light, expansive, harmonious. Its inner atmosphere is luminous. Peace flows naturally from it. Such a soul does not need to be escorted upward. It rises because it resonates with clarity. It aligns with environments where love is the natural language. Conversely, a soul burdened by resentment, cruelty, deceit, and unrepented harm carries a dense vibration. It feels constricted, heavy, fragmented. It does not need to be condemned. It simply cannot exist comfortably in higher frequencies. Light is not hostile to darkness, but darkness cannot remain where light dominates. Thus, souls gravitate towards spaces that match their inner state. High frequency toward brightness, low frequency toward shadow. This is not favoritism, it is alignment. You realize now that no one is pushing you. No divine hand forces you upward or downward. There is only attraction. The energy you cultivated throughout your life has formed a field around you. That field pulls you naturally toward compatible dimensions. If bitterness shaped you, you feel drawn toward regions where bitterness echoes back. If compassion shaped you, you are drawn toward realms where compassion flourishes. Heaven and hell are not imposed sentences. They are natural consequences of resonance. Just as a stone sinks in water due to density and a flame rises due to heat, the Isyama soul moves according to its inner composition. You are not sent, you gravitate, and this realization removes every illusion of injustice. The system is not arbitrary, it is exquisitely fair. What you created within yourself has become your environment. And suddenly, the most sobering truth becomes clear. The final destination was never decided at death. It was cultivated daily, through thoughts you entertained, words you released, and actions you repeated. The afterlife is not a surprise, it is a continuation. And the direction of that continuation was written long before your final breath, quietly, consistently, in the invisible architecture of your soul. As the movement of resonance begins to draw each soul toward its corresponding realm, you arrive at what can only be described as the border of separation. It is not a wall of stone, nor a guarded gate of iron. It is a threshold of clarity, an invisible dividing line where alignment becomes irreversible. Here, confusion no longer exists. There are no blurred definitions, no half-truths, no comforting illusions. Everything is exact. Everything is revealed in its true proportion. You begin to feel a force, not external, but emerging from within you. It is subtle at first, then undeniable. Imagine your soul as a great balloon suspended in the air. Throughout your life, every act of love filled it with invisible helium. Every act of cruelty tied a small weight to its base. Every resentment added another grain of sand. Every forgiveness released one. Now, at this border, the accumulated weight determines what happens next. If your soul has been refined by compassion, it feels astonishingly light. There is a natural upward motion, effortless and gentle, as if gravity itself has reversed. If your soul carries layers of unhealed bitterness and deliberate harm, it feels heavy, almost anchored. No one pushes you down, no one lifts you up. The motion is automatic. At this border, one of the most piercing experiences unfolds separation. You may see souls you once loved, family members, companions, partners in life's journey. For a brief moment, there is recognition, familiarity, a longing to remain together. But resonance cannot be overridden by sentiment. If your frequencies no longer match, distance begins to form. A soul purified by love may begin rising toward luminous clarity, while another, still burdened by unresolved darkness, feels the pull in a different direction. You may call out in spirit, but the separation is not imposed cruelty. It is energetic truth. This is perhaps the deepest sorrow, realizing that selfishness, pride, or stubborn refusal to change has created a gulf no emotion can bridge. Love alone is not enough if it was not practiced in truth. At this threshold, a realization crystallizes with unmistakable force. The time for revision has ended. Life was the classroom. This is the harvest. While alive, you could apologize. You could repair harm. You could choose differently the next day. But here, choice no longer functions in the same way. What has been formed is now fully formed. If you planted seeds of compassion, you reap harmony. If you planted seeds of harm, you reap confrontation. There is no cruelty in this design, only consistency. Yet even here, there is a subtle mystery, a final moment of genuine remorse, one that rises not from fear of consequence, but from deep awakening, can lighten the soul. True repentance, even at the edge of eternity, carries transformative power. But it must be real. Not bargaining, not self-preservation, only truth. As souls move toward their respective states, another misunderstanding dissolves. Hell is not primarily a landscape of fire. It is an internal condition intensified. Imagine a chamber lined entirely with mirrors. Each mirror reflects moments of your life that you once suppressed. The betrayal, the cruelty, the indifference, the times you knew better but chose otherwise. In this state, you cannot distract yourself. You cannot silence memory. You cannot project blame outward. You are confronted not by an external tormentor, but by your own unresolved conscience. The pain is not inflicted by flames, it is generated by awareness. To fully feel the harm you caused without defense is profoundly destabilizing. It is not vengeance, it is purification through recognition. You remain in this state until the illusion you carried about yourself dissolves completely. The true torment of hell is separation from harmony. It is living within the echo of your own dissonance. And yet even this state is not eternal in cruelty. It exists for alignment. It persists only as long as resistance persists. When genuine humility emerges, transformation begins. In contrast, heaven is not an indulgent paradise of excess pleasure. It is coherence. It is a realm where no deception survives because none is desired, where communication is transparent, where love flows without manipulation, where joy arises not from dominance but from unity. A soul that has practiced forgiveness feels at home here. A soul that has cultivated gratitude recognizes this atmosphere instantly. There is expansion, there is light, there is deep, abiding peace. Heaven is the natural habitat of a soul aligned with truth. If you are hearing these reflections now, something extraordinary is still true. You are alive. Your heart continues to beat. Your breath continues to flow. Your book of life is still being written. The border of separation has not yet arrived for you. That means revision is still possible. You can lighten your soul today. You can remove a weight by forgiving. You can add light by showing compassion. You can repair what has been fractured. You can choose integrity over convenience. The final judgment is not merely a future event, it is unfolding in every decision you make. Each night, you can conduct your own quiet review. Where did I act from love? Where did I act from ego? What can I correct tomorrow? Do not wait until your final breath to seek reconciliation. Do not postpone kindness. Do not assume there will always be more time, because when the final exhale comes, it will not ask whether you felt ready. The ultimate revelation is not meant to terrify you. It is meant to awaken you. The system of spiritual alignment is not cruel. It is precise. It is fair. It is responsive. No one is destined for darkness, but no one accidentally enters light. You are shaping your eternal resonance now. Through every thought you nurture, every word you speak, every action you choose. When your final breath arrives, you will not face a stranger. You will face the accumulated truth of who you became. And the direction you move will not be decided in that moment. It will simply reveal what you have been building all along.